a video on my sourdough starter that I've had in the freezer as a backup, just in case anything happens to my normal starter and I kill it accidentally. I've got some backup in the freezer, and I just better thought that I better see if we can still make sourdough from my backup starter that's been frozen. So I've defrosted it, and we're going to make some. Going to make 2 loads of bread. I'm also going to make a video at the same time on a more scientific method of how I make my bread, because I always think I waffle a bit too much, hence, and I'm now waffling, I realise. So I've got, these 2 videos might kind of overlap a little bit, so I'm doing 2 things at once. So, starter is pretty straightforward. I'm making 2 loaves, so I've got 300 grams of flour, strong bread flour, and 300 grams of water, and then we need to add some starter to it. So that amount will be fine, and we need to bring it back to life. It will be alive, it just needs some food and some water in it, just so it starts fermenting and reproducing and producing carbon dioxide, which is what is gonna rise the bread. And also, because it's sourdough, we need to start getting some flavour in it. So by a slow fermentation we'll get flavour and growth and carbon dioxide. So we just need to mix the flour and water and starter together, and that's its food and water. And then we need to leave it somewhere not cool, just relatively warm, just to it start fermenting. Lots of people put it in jars at this process. I don't, because I think it makes the right mess of a jar. And then this process might take 10 hours, it might take 5 hours, it might take 4 hours. We just need to get it going, bring it back to life, and then we can start thinking about making some bread with it. So that's that. Let's see if this frozen starter comes back to life. I think we might use it all. Yeah, we'll use it all, actually. There's no point wasting it. Not fine. There we go, we'll leave that. It'll start fermenting, start bubbling, and then we'll be able to make some bread out of it. Right, so we are 48 hours later with the starter that came out of the freezer. So it started to ferment now, but it took for absolutely forever for it to get going. I'm not entirely sure why, it just took a long time to get going. I think the freezer might have killed off some of the yeast in there, and it took a while for the yeast that was actually in the starter to start coming back alive and being active. So you can freeze your starter, it just takes a little bit of love and care just to get it going again. So, but still, worth having some starter in your freezer just as a backup plan. I would recommend that obviously over time your starter improves with flavour. So a starter that is 6 months old will be better than a starter that's 1 month old. A starter that's a year old is going to be better than one that's 6 months old. So I think I would recommend systematically putting some fresh starter every 2 or 3 months, putting a fresh batch of starter, an older, a more mature starter in your freezer to replace the one that's already in there. Therefore, you're going to have in your freezer as your backup, you're going to have your most up-to-date starter, rather than the starter that's a month old, maybe 6 months old, when you've cultivated a starter for 18 months, 2 years. You don't want to lose that amount of time that the starter has got better and better and better. You want to systematically save some of your really good starter and replace the one that you've got in the freezer. So there we go. It takes a little while, just needs a little bit of love, and it comes back to life. And because I'm going to make some bread with this, and because it's been going for 48 hours now, well, probably slightly more, maybe 49 hours, there's going to be loads of flavour in there, and it has developed loads of flavour because it's been going for 48 hours. So, but there we go. That's freezing a little bit of your starter is a good idea. Just needs a bit of love to bring it back to life.